Well, I might as well check the news. The WNBA has an emergency meeting. Sophie Cunningham doesn't want men? Royce White's glow up. Wait, what's going on? On August 12, 2026, the leadership of the WNBA held an emergency meeting. On the docket was a somehow complicated question: what is a woman? You see, earlier in the year, Sophie Cunningham of the Indiana Fever stated that she really didn't want people who started their lives as men to participate in a league specifically made for women. The language for eligibility into the WNBA was incredibly vague. It said that the league was for, quote, people who are women, but they never bothered to define what that meant. Seizing the opportunity to illustrate the absurd with absurdity were two former NBA players, Enes Kanter Freedom and Royce White. Both men stated their intention to enter the 2027 WNBA draft. Now, the WNBA is clearly in a tough spot. They don't want to say that their league is limited to only those born as women. They also don't want to let Enes Kanter Freedom and Royce White into their league because it will have to be on the basis of those two being born as men. What if I told you the solution to the WNBA's dilemma is to avoid the W in the WNBA altogether? Since I enjoy looking at old rules from sports history, I think it's very possible that the WNBA could create rules that would keep Freedom and White out of their league and keep themselves out of court. The way I see it, the WNBA could, as the kids say, fully yeet themselves out of this predicament by creating rules that fall into three broad categories: objective rules, subjective rules, and bribes. On to the objective rules. These are things that could be tested and are independent of personal opinion or emotion. First off, they could take the lead from the Women's Tennis Association and cheek swab for Y chromosomes to determine who is a man and who is a woman. The men would be the ones who have the Y chromosome present. In a slightly more ridiculous method, they could create a woman-shaped door. And since men are generally bigger than women, the women could get through, and the men couldn't get through, and they wouldn't even be able to enter the arena. The next thing they could do is figure out if the players entering have played in the NBA before. Now, Royce White and Enes Kanter Freedom both have, so that would solve their problem in the short term. But in the long term, that could be an issue because maybe some of these players didn't actually get drafted into the NBA and didn't make it out of college athletics, so they wanted to try the WNBA instead. Another thing that would exclude both Royce and Enes would be if they said you're not allowed if you're 35 or over. But then that would be age discrimination, and plus there are at least 11 women who are over age 35 right now. The next thing they could do is ask the question, are you white? But you can see where that would cause a bunch of issues. And this is exactly the kind of thing they want to avoid, but it would get rid of Royce White and Enes Kanter Freedom. On to subjective rules. These are rules that are based off of personal opinion or emotion. These are especially useful for the WNBA because you can pretty much craft these any way you want. It's the whole my truth is my truth and your truth is your truth type thing. And here are some examples of rules that I think could keep the two former NBA players out of the WNBA. Did you cry enough during the 2007 movie, P.S. I Love You? Notice how I added the word enough, because men might get emotional during this movie, but I think it's highly likely that women would get more emotional during it. Did your glow up fail? Now, this one is directed specifically towards Royce White because he put on a wig, and the women of the WNBA could just say, well, it failed, like, you don't look good, that hair color doesn't complement your outfit, or something like that. They could just say anything they wanted, give a fashion critique to keep him out of their league. Now, my third category is actually my favorite, bribes. This is one rule that I created that I'm actually quite proud of in its creativity. What you would do is you would create a rule that says that any player who dunks is permanently banned from the league at the end of the game which you are playing in. That's the key. You gotta let them finish out the game. Now, once the game is over, you'll be paid $10 million per dunk after the game. Now, the key here is that there is only one WNBA player that I'm aware of who has actually dunked in a game, and that would be Brittany Griner. And I think if you put the bribe or the payout per dunk high enough, you would have men playing in the WNBA that would just dunk as much as they could in one game, and then they would never be able to play again. So let me know what you think. Do you believe that the WNBA should avoid the woman question altogether and just create side rules the way I did to keep men who want to still be men out of their league? And I'll see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe, do all the things, ring the bell, and the bell has rung on this video.